Welcome to our deep dive today. You want to learn about Father Agnelo Fernandes?
A prominent figure in the Missionaries of St. Francis de Sales.
Right, the MSFS, and we have a great resource for this.
Visionary leadership, humble service, and daring commitment. Festschrift in honor of Father Agnelo Fernandes MSFS.
What a title.
It's quite a mouthful.
Well, the book itself looks fascinating.
Published in 2025.
And edited by
Henry Jose Codicutio, MSFS.
Thomas Cochilim Juvatil, MSFS.
Isaac John, MSFS.
And Mario de Souza, MSFS.
It seems to be a really comprehensive exploration of Father Agnelo's life.
It does. And one thing that really stood out to me was this concept of little virtues.
Little virtues.
Yeah, it's right here in the book.
Interesting.
The book suggests that Father Agnelo is a living example of this idea.
I have to admit, I'm curious about that.
Me too. How do you live a little virtue?
Right. It's a little, well, I don't know.
Yeah, before we get to that, though, let's...
Maybe some background on Father Agnelo.
Perfect.
Born in Mumbai in 1948. And he began his journey with the MSFS in 1966.
Wow, so...
He served as Superior General for 12 years.
12 years?
And Provincial for 9.
That's quite a testament to his dedication.
Definitely.
And to leadership.
Yeah.
It seems like even early on, he was committed to knowledge.
The book mentions that he earned a gold medal.
A gold medal?
Yes, in English literature.
Wow.
From Nagpur University.
It makes you wonder if that passion for language and literature influenced his later roles in education.
Possibly.
And leadership.
Oh, definitely. A strong foundation in literature can cultivate all sorts of things: critical thinking, communication skills.
And empathy?
Yeah, all qualities that are valuable in any leadership role.
Absolutely. And speaking of his roles,
Yes.
This book highlights his contributions to
The various Salesian institutions.
For example, he served as a teacher
And principal
notably at
St. Francis de Sales School in Janakpuri.
New Delhi.
Yeah.
His time at St. Francis de Sales seems to have been
Particularly impactful. The book suggests he had a reputation for nurturing not just the students' academic development, but also their faith.
It sounds like he led with wisdom.
And humility.
Which are key tenets of Salesian spirituality.
Right.
And it wasn't just individual schools.
He eventually became
Provincial Superior.
The Maharashtra Go province.
Wow.
A position he held for 9 years.
That's a significant responsibility.
Leading an entire province.
Of the MSFS.
Yeah, and his leadership during that time seems to have been quite impactful.
Bringing people together.
Inspiring them towards a common goal.
So it's fascinating to see how his journey progressed.
From educator to administrator.
Eventually leading to
his election as Superior General.
The first non-European
12 years.
To hold that position.
12 years.
As Superior General.
While steering the entire congregation.
That's no small feat.
It speaks volumes.
About the trust and respect he commanded.
Within the MSFS.
Yeah. And what's even more remarkable is that he continued serving on the General Council even after his term as Superior General ended. That's a powerful level of commitment.
Truly inspiring.
It paints a picture of someone deeply devoted to the Salesian mission.
And to serving others.
But let's circle back.
To the little virtues.
Yes, this intriguing concept.
Okay.
The book actually dedicates an entire article to this. Holiness Through Little Virtues.
By MSFS.
So what are little virtues?
And why are they so important in Salesian spirituality?
Well, the article suggests that Salesian spirituality emphasizes the power of practicing small, everyday virtues, like patience,
humility,
gentleness, kindness, and faithfulness.
And these little virtues, if practiced consistently,
can lead to great holiness.
So it's not about the grand gestures or heroic acts, but rather the steady,
consistent practice of the small acts of goodness.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see why that could be so powerful.
It makes holiness feel more attainable.
More relatable.
To everyday life.
And what's particularly interesting is that Father Agnelo
is presented as a living example of this concept.
So the book implies that his life and leadership embody these little virtues in action.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
How does that play out? What are some specific examples of Father Agnelo living these little virtues?
Well, we'll get into specific examples later.
Okay.
But one thing that stood out to me was the emphasis on humility.
Humility.
Yeah, the book mentions Father Francis Pouvel, MSFS, writing about embracing humility and gentleness.
Following in the footsteps of St. Francis de Sales himself.
It's almost as if Salesians see these little virtues as the path to holiness.
That's really interesting. It challenges the notion that holiness is reserved for saints or those who perform extraordinary feats.
Instead, it suggests that holiness can be cultivated.
Through the consistent practice of these seemingly small virtues.
Precisely. And it seems that Father Agnelo's life provides a compelling example of this.
He's described as someone who embodies a blend of efficient administration,
visionary leadership,
and, perhaps most importantly,
a deep-seated humility.
That's a powerful combination.
It sounds like he managed to lead effectively without letting power or ego get in the way.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes him such an intriguing figure.
The book suggests he was a leader who inspired others,
Not through
or
force,
charisma,
but
through
his genuine humility.
and dedication to service.
Right.
I'm starting to see how this ties back to the concept of little virtues.
It's not about seeking recognition or praise, but about quietly and consistently doing what is right, what is good.
And what serve others.
Absolutely, and that, I believe, is the essence of Father Agnelo's story.
He lived and led with a quiet strength.
That emanated from his commitment to these seemingly little but ultimately profound virtues.
This has already given me a lot to think about.
Me too. I think we can find some compelling insights by exploring his journey through different lenses,
Like
his early life,
time as an educator,
his leadership as provincial superior,
and ultimately his time as superior general.
Let's do it. I'm particularly interested in learning more about his time as principal of St. Francis de Sales School in New Delhi.
That's a great place to start.
It sounds like he had a profound impact there.
His educational philosophy and leadership style offer a unique window into his character.
And values.
Okay.
Let's dive in.
So Father Agnelo's time as principal of St. Francis de Sales School in Janakpuri, New Delhi.
It seems like his journey to that leadership position was marked by
A lot of those little virtues.
we were just talking about.
You're right. Even before becoming principal, he served as the vice rector of the school.
Okay.
During that time, he really focused on nurturing faith and guiding students.
With wisdom and humility.
And those qualities really resonate with the Salesian charism.
Definitely that commitment to both academic excellence
And spiritual growth.
It was already deeply ingrained in him. It makes me think about something you mentioned earlier about a strong foundation in literature potentially fostering empathy. Could that have influenced his approach to education, that focus on nurturing the whole person?
That's an interesting thought. It's certainly possible that his literary background instilled in him a certain sensitivity to the complexities of human experience.
Which would naturally extend to his interactions with students.
Exactly.
And when he became principal in 1983,
Yeah.
it seems like he brought those qualities to the forefront.
The book describes the school as a Franciscan Salesian champion during his tenure.
That sounds like quite a legacy.
It does, and what's fascinating is that his impact wasn't limited to the students.
Oh.
He also emphasized the importance of supporting and empowering the educators
That makes a lot of sense.
to create a holistic learning environment.
You need educators who are themselves well-rounded and inspire.
Like investing in the roots of a tree to ensure that the branches flourish.
And the book also touches upon the state of education in India during that time,
It was a period of rapid change.
with technology playing an increasingly important role.
Right. We briefly touched upon an article
By P.K. Roy, MSFS.
titled Navigating Education in the Digital Age, A Perspective on India's Transformation.
What were some of the key takeaways from that article?
Well, it highlighted the challenges and opportunities that digitalization brought to the education sector.
That's it.
It emphasized the need to embrace technology as a tool for enhancing learning.
For example,
Things like smart classrooms
interactive learning platforms.
and access to vast online libraries,
Those are tools that could have a truly transformative impact,
especially for students in remote areas.
or those who might not have access to traditional educational resources.
Absolutely. But the article also acknowledged the challenges, the digital divide,
The need for adequate infrastructure.
and the importance of teacher training,
It's all about balance.
recognizing the potential of technology.
While addressing those barriers,
Yeah.
it makes me wonder, was Father Agnello a proponent of incorporating technology into education?
That's a great question. The book doesn't explicitly state his stance on that, but considering his forward-thinking approach to leadership,
It wouldn't be surprising.
if he saw the value in harnessing technology to enhance education,
It's striking how those little virtues we keep discussing seem to weave themselves into different aspects of his life.
like,
Take, for example, the virtue of openness to new ideas.
okay,
Could that have influenced his views on educational technology?
that's a really insightful observation.
It seems like a natural connection.
It is. The book doesn't explicitly make that connection, but it's certainly something to ponder.
Perhaps those little virtues weren't just personal qualities for Father Agnello, they were guiding principles.
That influenced his approach to leadership
Education.
and even his openness to technological advancements.
I love that idea.
It suggests that these virtues weren't just passive traits, but active forces shaping his decisions.
And actions.
Right, and speaking of shaping decisions,
Yes.
there's another article in this section that caught my eye. It's by George Parampukatil, MSFS, and it's titled
Per Agnelo Fernandes MSFS. A man of quality education in the changing educational scenario of modern India with special reference to MSFS education.
Wow, what a title.
It seems to offer a broader look at his educational philosophy.
It does.
What kind of perspective does he offer on quality education to the modern world?
Well, the article emphasizes the need for a holistic approach, one that goes beyond simply imparting knowledge and skills.
Okay.
It's about nurturing the whole person, their intellectual,
Spirit.
emotional, and social development.
Father Agnelo believed that education should empower individuals to become well-rounded, compassionate,
And engaged members of society.
it's that Salesian approach again,
And focus on educating the heart.
as well as the mind.
Exactly. And to illustrate this philosophy, the article dives into Father Agnelo's impact as principal of St. Francis de Sales
He
School.
wasn't just an administrator
He was a presence, a mentor
and a guide.
for both students and faculty.
It's easy to see how someone with his warmth and humility would have a positive impact on the school's culture.
It's not just about what you teach.
It's about how you create a space for learning and growth.
Absolutely. The article even quotes a teacher from St. Francis de Sales.
Miss Kupi Kaur,
Yes, who described his impact beautifully.
she highlighted
His charming presence, his humility,
profound influence.
and unwavering firmness.
Wow.
And she even went as far as to say that he embodied the very essence of their patron, St. Francis de Sales.
That's a remarkable tribute.
To be seen as embodying the spirit of your patron saint, it speaks volumes about the depth of his character.
And the authenticity of his leadership.
It really does. And it brings us back to those little virtues, doesn't it?
That meticulousness,
That humility.
that unwavering commitment.
Those are all qualities that point to a deep-seated belief in the power of small, consistent actions.
It's so inspiring. Like he's showing us that true greatness doesn't always come with fanfare or grand gesture.
It can be found in the everyday moments.
In the small acts of kindness.
Patience and dedication.
And that's a message that resonates deeply with Salesian spirituality.
It's about finding holiness in the ordinary, in the everyday practice of virtue.
You know, we've been focusing a lot on Father Agnelo's contributions to education,
Which are undeniably significant.
but his leadership journey extended far beyond that role,
He also served as provincial superior for 9 years
guiding the entire Maharashtra Goa province.
of the MSFS.
I'm curious to hear more about that chapter of his life. Did those same little virtues guide him as he took on that larger leadership role?
That's what we're going to find out.
Let's explore that next. I'm particularly interested in seeing how his leadership style,
Which we've seen is rooted in humility and collaboration.
translated to a role with even broader responsibilities. Father Agnelo's time as provincial superior of the Maharashtra Goa province.
This is where we see his leadership really expanding in scope.
9 years he led the province.
From 1987 to 1996.
And during that time, he spearheaded some impactful initiatives.
He did.
What were some of his key accomplishments in this role? Did his leadership style change when he was responsible for an entire province?
Well, he certainly didn't abandon those little virtues we've been discussing.
They were instrumental in his success.
One of his primary focuses was fostering spiritual renewal within the province.
Makes sense. He clearly had a deep commitment to Salesian spirituality. But what did that look like in practice?
He organized retreats,
Okay.
encouraged ongoing formation,
Hmm.
and really worked to cultivate a strong sense of community among the Salesians in the province.
He understood that for the MSFS to thrive, its members needed to be deeply rooted in their faith and connected to the Salesian charism.
Right, it's like tending to a garden.
You need to nourish each individual plant.
If you want the whole garden to flourish.
But it wasn't just about spiritual growth.
The book also mentions his administrative achievements during this time.
Like what?
He oversaw the expansion of educational institutions
Implemented new
and
programs.
strengthened the province's financial stability.
It sounds like he was a very strategic and forward-thinking leader.
He was.
And remember, this was a period of significant change in India.
The country was undergoing rapid economic growth and modernization.
Father Agnelo recognized that the MSFS needed to adapt to those changing times,
He embraced progress.
while staying true to the core values of the Salesian mission.
It seems to be a recurring theme in his life,
That ability to navigate change.
while remaining grounded in his principles.
It's a quality that's essential for any effective leaders.
Especially in times of transition.
It makes me think about how those little virtues, humility,
Gentleness.
might have contributed to his success.
In this role,
He didn't lead with an iron fist,
he fostered collaboration
listened to diverse perspectives.
and empowered others to take ownership.
That's so consistent with what we've seen.
That servant leadership,
That focus on empowering others rather than asserting authority.
it seems to be a defining characteristic of his approach. Absolutely, and I imagine his gentle demeanor and genuine humility also helped to create a more harmonious and productive environment within the province.
It's hard to imagine him being a domineering or authoritarian leader.
It is.
It's remarkable to see how his impact extended from individual students to entire schools.
And now to a whole province.
It speaks volumes about the power of authentic leadership.
Leadership that's rooted in integrity, compassion, and service.
His success as provincial superior ultimately paved the way for his election as superior general in 2001.
The MSFS recognized his leadership abilities
And entrusted him with guiding the entire congregation.
So we've explored Father Agnelo's life through these different lenses.
His dedication to education.
His embodiment of little virtues.
His leadership on both provincial and global levels.
What's the takeaway message for our listener?
True leadership isn't about power or prestige.
It's about service, humility,
and an unwavering commitment to a greater good.
Father Agnelo's life is a testament to the transformative power of those little virtues.
It shows us that seemingly small actions consistently practiced can create ripples of positive change.
That extend far beyond ourselves.
That's beautifully put. Father Agnelo's journey is a reminder that holiness is not some distant ideal.
Reserved for saints.
It's something we can all strive for in our everyday lives.
Through the practice of those little virtues.
Kindness, patience,
gentleness, dedication.
and faith.
Absolutely, those virtues are accessible to everyone, regardless of their position or background.
It's about making a conscious effort to embody those qualities in our interactions with others.
In our work and in our approach to life.
This deep dive has been truly inspiring.
Father Agnelo's story is a powerful testament to the impact that one person can have on the world.
When they lead with humility,
integrity, and a commitment to serving others.
I agree. And for our listener, the best way to continue exploring this is to delve into the book itself, Visionary Leadership, Humble Service, and Daring Commitment.
It's filled with insights and anecdotes
that offer a deeper understanding of Father Agnelo's life and the power of little virtues.
I know, I'm adding this to my reading list.
For anyone listening who wants to learn more about Father Agnelo, I encourage you to seek out this book
and discover the richness of his story.
It's been a pleasure unpacking all of this with you.
It's always enriching to explore these stories of individuals who have lived their lives with purpose and intention.
And thank you for sharing your insightful perspective. Until next time, dear listener.
May you find inspiration and guidance
on your own journey towards a life well lived.